Hello Virgo, welcome to my channel. Thank you so very much for joining me for your October 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, you will find links to all sorts of goodies, including a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. There will also be links for information on personal readings and donations if you would like to explore those. Please do keep in mind that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so take only what resonates with you. I would like to deeply apologize for the delay in getting you your reading. I went on vacation in the middle of October and returned after several days very ill and was very sick for about a week or so. And coming out of that illness and starting to recover, I then had problems with sciatica and couldn't bear to sit and do readings, let alone, or rather, I couldn't bear to even sleep. I didn't get sleep for several days and certainly could not sit here to do readings for you. And that brought me through until the beginning of November. That being said, that does not mean that this reading will still not benefit you in some way, shape, or form. It could very well answer for you questions about things that you experienced during October and how those things may be influencing you as you move forward through the month of November. With all of this being said, certainly you can understand that I'm incredibly behind and will be working very hard to get November's readings out as soon as I finish October. But I did want to make sure to get this reading to you, again, so that it can support your journey. So October was a universal 8 month, and that 8 energy is one of renewal. And it's a reminder that all things in life are connected to this cycle of life, death, and rebirth. We were asked to focus on universal connectedness and collective humanity. It also brought forward self-empowerment vibes that were pulling us toward expansion, growth, and divine compassion. So for this reading, we're going to be looking at the overall energy of October 2023. What came to an end for you, Virgo? What was, rebirthed, renewed, or started or began? And getting the wisdom that would best support your healing, growth, and evolution. Again, just as a reminder, just because October has passed does not mean that there is not valuable information here for you, especially if you've found your way to this reading. So we're going to be kind of time traveling and taking a look at what took place for you. Let's dive in and see what comes through. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us about the overall energy of October 2023 for Virgo, please. All right, thank you. Tell us about what came to an end during October for Virgo, please. Thank you. Tell us about what was rebirthed, renewed, or began for Virgo in October. Thank you. And tell us the wisdom that will best support Virgo in their healing, growth, and evolution. Okay, thank you. We do have a lot of cards we're working with, so I appreciate your patience. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy of October 2023 for Virgo. Okay, I'm being told to take them all, so I will. That's a lot of information. What came to an end for Virgo last month, please? October 2023. Tell us more. Okay. Tell us more, please. What was rebirthed, renewed, or began for Virgo in October? Thank you. Tell us more about the wisdom that will best support Virgo's healing, growth, and evolution with what came through last month for them, please. Okay. What else do we need to know, please, about the overall energy of October 2023 for Virgo? Okay. Tell us, what else do we need to know, please, about what came to an end for Virgo last month in October 2023? Thank you. Tell us more, please. What was rebirthed, renewed, or began for Virgo last month, October 2023? All right. Tell us more, please, about the wisdom that will best support Virgo in their healing, growth, and evolution based on what came through last month. Thank you. And anything we may have missed or need to know about the overall energy of October 2023 for Virgo. Thank you. Anything we need to know or may have missed, please, about what came to an end for Virgo last month, October 2023, please. Anything we need to know or may have missed. Okay, thank you. Anything we need to know or may have missed about what was rebirthed, renewed, or began for Virgo last month in October 2023, please. All right. And anything we need to know or may have missed about the wisdom that would best support Virgo in their healing, growth, and evolution. All right. Thank you. Based on what came through last month. So, wow. Lots of cards here for you. Let's dive in, Virgo, and see what happened for you last month. All right, so the overall energy of last month was take a break, a life's work, not a season, get off the treadmill. It feels as though to me, Virgo, for you in October, there was this energy that came through of a really kind of, I'm seeing it as like a stepping back. It feels to me like, actually, it feels to me as though you may have had things in mind that you wanted to accomplish or achieve. And if you were somebody who was pushing for that, when maybe other things were telling you to kind of slow down and rest, I feel like your plans could have fallen through. Maybe things didn't go the way you thought they would. Maybe there were certain aspects that you were waiting for them to arrive, or something, certain pieces that you were waiting to fall into place, and for some reason they didn't seem to do that. I feel as though that was because there was this energy of needing to really just take a pause, to really kind of do an almost like an internal inventory, if you will, or an internal analysis of what is going on within you. I don't know why, and that maybe this is for someone very specific, but I'm actually seeing a picture of someone sitting in a chair with their feet up, resting their feet on something, or maybe reclined in a chair or something like that. I'm actually seeing it as you may have been in this space where you were taking a break. For some of you, you may have actually experienced some kind of illness or discomfort or something along those lines, where you were asked to just kind of, like I said, step back. For some of you, I feel like this pause was due to a cycle. And it feels like, this get off the treadmill, like I'm actually kind of seeing it as like running in circles, or, running on a treadmill where you seem to be moving and moving and moving, but not really getting anywhere. And so I do feel like that pause was for you to be able to take a look at what it is that you're just kind of running in circles about, where you're not really making the progress that maybe you could be or should be. And I feel like that's because there was something that you needed to be made aware of, some kind of something that required you to delve a little bit deeper, to really figure out what it was you were kind of missing. Right, which is why it's interesting. It feels very introspective to me, but it also feels like things externally could have been put on hold because the universe was trying to make arrangements, as it were, for you to look in to find the piece that was missing in order for you to actually create movement or to take the steps that were needed, right? I kind of feel as though prior to October, you may have been kind of going. You may have been finding, I feel like maybe your plate was really full, right? And again, I feel like this was asking you to just kind of chill out for a little bit, okay? And if you're somebody who maybe did not do that, and we're just continuing to press forward. I don't know why I'm getting this, but it feels like you may be now in the month of November, right? As I film this in real time, you may be finding that you're almost forced to take a break. Okay. Take that as it resonates, of course. What else do we have here for you? Starseed, what lights you up? Okay, so perhaps, this piece that, or rather the reason why you are being asked to slow down or to back up is because I feel like you could have been devoted or very focused on more practical type of matters, which is certainly a Virgo trait, right? A more logical something or other. And it feels as though, this pause that was that you were being encouraged to take was for you to really dive deep and analyze or look at or discover what it is that ignites passion within you, what it is that lights you up, what really brings meaning to your life and is life giving for you. It feels like, this is something that maybe was a bit of a focus for you in October, right? You may have been finding yourself continuously drawn back to a question like this, right? What lights you up? What excites you? What are you passionate about? What do you want to do with your life? What is your purpose? What is your mission? You may have, have this kind of stirring or this curiosity within you, because I feel as though, I don't know why, you guys, but it really feels like there could have been this focus on the more, like I said, practical, logical, physical aspects of your reality. And I feel as though there's something here that was kind of nudging you or encouraging you to look at a different aspect, to look at something else, because I feel like, you can only, how do I say this? You can only move so far when you are focused solely or strictly on your physical reality, on the more practical or logical things, right? We are both physical and spiritual beings. Of course, that's a very simplified way of putting it, but we are incredibly multifaceted. And when we start denying, ignoring, avoiding certain parts of ourselves, other parts seem to kind of get a little bit hectic, or things don't seem to be working as well, or things along those lines, because it's like we need that balance, right? I find it interesting because I'm getting fear coming up, first of all, and second of all, I noticed that I had kind of a lisp coming in. And here's the thing about that. That is not something that I experience typically in my everyday today speech. And oftentimes for me, the energy that I'm channeling and bringing through manifests in my physical body to let me know something. And with a lisp coming through, there's this energy of essentially finding it difficult to clearly communicate, finding it difficult to authentically express ourselves and what it is we want or desire or need. And with that showing up, as we talk about starseed, what lights you up, you may have found that you are struggling with that, this doesn't feel practical kind of energy, or looking at maybe what lights you up or what's calling to you or what you're really passionate about as something that isn't, what is the word I'm looking for? It's kind of this energy of, that doesn't make sense. That isn't logical. That's not going to sustain me. That's not going to provide for me. That's not going to create stability or security for me, or something along those lines, right? So you may have found that you are struggling with that, potentially before October, but it could also have been through the month of October, because I do feel like, what lights you up was being brought to the forefront, and you were being asked to really dive into that, to really explore that. Because again, coming back to this take a break card with get off the treadmill, that very much for me is coming through as this focus on the physical world. And focusing on the physical or material world, oftentimes what happens is that we are, working and working and working and working and working to create this material or financial stability and security. And so again, I feel like you may have been kind of hyper focused, if you will, on that area of life, and have been neglecting, what it is you're really passionate about, what stirs creativity within you, what stirs fire within you, what is life-giving or fulfilling to you. So let's see what else we have here to clarify. Ooh, yes, we do have death and rebirth, which, again, is quite fascinating based on what I shared about October having been this universal 8 month. I feel like certainly there are aspects of self for you through the month of October that were meant to be released. Okay, this death and rebirth energy is putting the past behind you, right? Allowing the beginning of a new cycle to take place, and really allowing yourself to transform, to evolve. So again, I do feel like what may have taken place during the month of October for you was bringing forward these belief systems, programmings, patterns, traumas, woundings, whatever it may be for you, around, or this more kind of cyclic energy around being kind of, again, hyper focused or solely focused on the material world strictly, or the physical world strictly. It feels as though there's been this energy of you having an opportunity to, again, kind of release those things and to step into something different, because it's not just about creating security or stability in the physical world, but it's also about giving time and energy and effort into what fills your cup. You cannot continuously pour and pour and pour from an empty cup, and I do feel like this is something that was being brought to the forefront for you. Certainly there are other things that could have been in a state, or how do I say, there could have been other things that were coming up for you to release or let go of. But it really does feel to me like there's a lot here about shifting from one paradigm, one belief system, behavioral patterns, thought patterns, to another. Something that I have found in my experience with the Virgos in my own life is that there's this constant focus on what can be achieved, what can be done. A lot of Virgos that I have experienced in my own reality are very focused on getting things done, achieving certain things. Again, taking like what am I responsible for? Putting things in order, organizing things, right? And there's very little kind of chill. Okay. So, I do feel like there's something here about addressing that and finding balance in those things. Like, certainly there's a time to put in, work and effort, and to really devote ourselves to certain tasks. But there are also times to step back, to do what we love, to, really find fulfillment in whatever it is we're experiencing. We do have the Seven of Pentacles here for you as well, Virgo, which, is bringing through this energy of changing directions, right? Again, as well as assessment, really, like really assessing things for what they are and pivoting. Okay. There's this energy here of things, again, not really going the way that you anticipated and or expected, and needing to have patience, needing to allow things to unfold in a way that is best for you. So it does feel to me, this is bringing me back to what I was sharing earlier about how last month or in October, you may have found that certain things that you thought were going to work one way didn't. Okay. Or you may have been expecting and anticipating something to unfold in a particular manner, something to show up at a certain time, and then it didn't. Maybe it has been delayed, right? And I feel like a big part of this is because you're meant to be addressing what is actually happening here. What is actually good for you? What you're actually meant to be doing? What direction you're actually meant to be going, and really assessing, those things as they pertain to your particular journey and your particular situation. It's quite fascinating. Right. So we also have here for you, yeah, the Two of Pentacles. Again, you cannot make this stuff up, Virgo, right? Again, this is that energy of juggling way too much, needing to bring balance into your life and make yourself a priority, to make some things a priority over other things for a period of time, again, to bring in balance, right? This card for me is very interesting because I often see this, bag here that she's holding where it's very physical. You can see it, it looks as though maybe you could touch it if you were in the card yourself, as the physical. And I often see this here in her other hand as more of that spiritual aspect. So again, I want to bring your attention to the fact that I feel that what came through for you in October was meant to bring your attention more to what has been playing in the background, right? It feels as though there's been this focus on the more physical aspects of self, the more practical aspects of self, creating stability and security in the physical, but neglecting that more spiritual side. And I feel as though, again, what took place for you last month was meant to be trying to bring some balance into that, to make yourself more a priority, or make those other aspects of yourself more of a priority. I also feel with the Two of Pentacles that there is this energy of adapting to what is coming, or what is before you. But here's the thing about that, right? You can only make those choices to adapt if you're discerning, if you understand what is actually going on, if you are aware, like, oh, something isn't working out here, 22:22 on the clock. You're seeing something like, okay, this isn't working out. Why is this not working out? What am I meant to be seeing here? What is my intuition, my higher self, my angels, my guides? What are they speaking to me? Okay. But again, the only, like, you can only do that if you are being very honest, very transparent with yourself, and if you are aware of, things taking place and why, right? You're being discerning. Again, you're meditating on them, you're praying about them, you're going inward, you are doing, or taking the opportunity to get introspective and seek the truth of what is going on. But again, I feel like here with the Two of Pentacles, and as it sits here on, the side of this what lights you up starseed card, I feel as though there's a choice here, right? To really bring forward that more spiritual aspect of self, or to continue to neglect it. Which again, if you refuse to, like, take a break and do the introspection, you may find that that is manifesting for you physically this month, right? I am not a doctor. I cannot and do not give medical advice. I would encourage you to seek medical treatment for anything you find necessary. But you may find that in the month of November, if you were not listening to that internal guidance asking you to pause, asking you to be introspective, to go within, you may find that, this month you're kind of being forced to do that, right? You may find yourself imbalanced enough where you're creating this dis-ease, or have created this dis-ease in your experience, and are now almost in a position where you kind of, if you're paying attention, have to be addressing those things. Lots of pentacle energy here for you. You do have the Ten of Pentacles, which is a very good card. I really do like the Ten of Pentacles, right? How do I say? So, again, I'm getting a lot of things, actually. I'm getting fear coming up. Um, so here's the thing. Okay. Pentacles, some of the keywords that we could connect with that earth energy or pentacle energy are, like responsibility, practicality, experience, right? Certainly stability and security, your finances, your health, these sorts of things. And I find it fascinating because, again, this is going to be laid here on the side of what lights you up after the Two of Pentacles. And even though this Ten of Pentacles energy can be a very good and welcomed energy, we have to look at everything that's come before it. And with that Two of Pentacles energy showing up in this fashion, or in this sense of, needing to bring that balance in, how do I say, I feel like for some, if you chose to look at, let's say, what lights you up, you chose to step back, you chose to get introspective, you chose to really assess and, make the other aspects of yourself a priority over, maybe what you've been focusing on, the physical world. I mean, every single card from the tarot that you have out here, other than this death and rebirth, has been a pentacle, which I find incredibly fascinating, because I feel like you're meant to be releasing some trauma, some programming, some wounding, some belief systems around the physical world, around the material world, around finances, around what's logical or practical, and are meant to be rebirthing that, bringing in, or welcoming in a new paradigm, a shift, and focusing on what lights you up, because again, it's not just about what you're doing in the physical world that is impactful. It's also about what you're exploring spiritually. So with this Ten of Pentacles, I feel like, based on your decisions last month, or in October, right, depending on when you're watching this, of course, I feel as though, there's a culmination of things that are coming to a head. There's something here that is reaching its end, or is coming full circle. And for some of you, maybe this looks more, how would we say? This may be in some sense more fulfilling. Um but, in other cases, maybe not so much. That culmination could look, I don't want to say bad, but that's something that we might label it as, right? Because it depends on how you moved with the energy that was being presented to you. Did you allow yourself to transform? Did you allow yourself to leave behind certain things and move on from the past? Did you allow new ways of being and living and moving and breathing and speaking and acting to come through? Did you choose that for yourself or not? Right? So I feel like it depends. It's quite fascinating to me, because I don't know that I've ever really got that kind of energy with this card being in the upright. So I'm finding it really interesting. Yeah. I just want to point out, like, if you are somebody who chose to, step back, who chose to pivot, who chose to allow this new information to come in, to see things from a different perspective, if you chose to try to work on balancing, your physical and spiritual self, I feel like, what comes about through that, or, what, how do I say? You may have found yourself renewed coming into November, right? Because that 10 energy is one of renewal. It is also one of the end of the cycle. So we start out with this cyclic energy with death and rebirth, and we kind of end out on a very similar energy. And I feel like it depends on the choices that you made, on what that might look like for you now. Yeah, we do have here Temple of Truth. I picked up on that throat chakra, right? As I was, sharing with you how I had a lisp come in. Throat chakra, authenticity, self-expression. So I definitely feel like the overall energy for you had something to do with being very honest and truthful and authentic with yourself. Getting very transparent, very clear, and certainly expressing those things, if to no one else, at the very least to yourself. And I feel like if you did that, right, things may be now, as we are in the month of November, flowing. Okay, they may be moving with more ease. And it's interesting AF the way this is coming through, because I feel like for some, things feel like they're flowing. Things feel like they're moving. And for others, it may feel like you're drowning. Okay, certainly take this as it resonates, as with everything that you hear on this channel. But, I'm getting like two sides of the coin here. Either you feel like things are flowing and like the floodgates have been opened, where it's like, okay, now that I'm in this space of being very truthful and honest with myself, and I've acknowledged these different aspects of myself, my desires, my wants, my needs on various fronts. Now things just, the floodgates are open, like I can't go back. And then, for others who have, perhaps not acknowledged these different aspects of themselves, who have not been honest with themselves, or were ignoring or avoiding certain aspects, I feel as though it could feel like you're drowning, which is interesting, because with this card, you guys have had this deck for quite some time. And I think this might be the first time that I've ever had this energy of like drowning coming in. Yeah, so there may be this energy of feeling incredibly overwhelmed. Ooh, look at that. We also have, for the overall energy, responsibility. You are aware of the power of your thoughts and the amount of love you express. Yeah, so I feel like the overall energy for you, and how this may have manifested or unfolded through the month of October and moving into November, is you are responsible. Okay, you make the choices. You decide whether or not you evolve. You decide whether you get stuck, right? The choice is yours. The Two of Pentacles, or the two, is the number of choices. And so I do feel like, the culmination of things showing up, 10 over here, is going to be based on the response. How do I say? Is going to be based on what you decided to do. And I feel like through the month of October, you may have, as October came to a close and we moved into November, you may have seen how the choices that you made impacted what you're now experiencing. Okay, because again, I do feel like there's this level of responsibility that you were asked to take, in regards to your own evolution, your own transformation, your own metamorphosis. And it's like the ball is in your court. Okay, and this may be something that's very apparent to you at this point. And like I said, you may have found that if you were asked to freaking slow down, to chill out, to rest, to get introspective, I'm getting like hermity vibes, which is totally your energy, where you do truly take that time to self-reflect and search for the truth. And I feel like, again, if you didn't do that, if you didn't pause, if you didn't dive deep, you may be feeling the repercussions of that now. Or, similarly, if you did take the time to explore those things, you may now be experiencing the reward, if you will, from that. Okay. Understanding, you are responsible for what you experience, because you are in the driver's seat. You are in control. That is part of where we are in our current phase, or space, or level, if you will, of initiation as a collective. Okay. So what came to an end for you last month, Virgo? We do have Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. I feel as though for some of you, what came to an end is this denial that there are beings who are orchestrating certain things. This energy is coming through very interesting, because I feel like for some, what came to an end is this whole idea that there aren't things being orchestrated behind the scenes. And again, coming into November, you may see that. right? Because again, you may have been getting signs and synchronicities and, nudges and intuitive hits that are like, hey, we need to chill out, or hey, we need to do this, or hey, we need to do that. And if you did not follow those, for example, you may find, oh crap, like like these things are legit, right? Like I actually need to be paying attention to this and taking it more seriously. However, if you don't resonate with that, I feel as though, how do I say this? I feel like there could be some of you that, what came to an end is this idea that you are alone. Okay. So for example, if you're somebody who was getting those nudges and those, those intuitive hits and things to encourage you to take certain steps, and maybe you did. And like I said, now maybe things are flowing with a little bit more ease. You're finding that cycles are closing, and, things may be coming together in a way that is helpful for you, or that has created, maybe spiritual and or material abundance for you. I feel like there is, what has come to an end is this idea that you're alone. You may have recognized that there are beings who are assisting you, and you may have found that they are helping, right? Like they are helping you, guiding you, leading you into, certain situations or around certain people, or to make certain moves that are beneficial for you in some way, shape, or form. Whereas maybe previously, maybe you were on the fence about it. Maybe you like believed it, but you didn't believe it. Maybe you were struggling to have faith or something along those lines. It's really quite interesting. Ooh, we do have the sun in the reverse. Yeah, so there's that energy of like kind of, this negative way of thinking, right? And again, it's interesting that we have Council of Light and then the sun in the reverse, because I feel like what was coming to an end is, like I was saying before, the inability to kind of see that help coming through, to see that good that is being provided for you. Um, you know, Also, I feel like there was this, you guys, I keep getting a lot of energy releasing with your reading here. And I feel like, again, part of what's coming to an end or has come to an end for you is this like constant negativity. Okay, so again, it's very fascinating to me because I feel like there's this, how do I say this? Almost like critical, um, perfectionist type of energy where, how do I say this? It feels like for some of you, like you may have believed to some degree or another that there's some kind of force helping you. Like, let's say, for example, you believe in God, okay? But you don't really talk to God, or maybe you believe in God, but you don't, but how do I say? Like, you think you believe in God, but you aren't sure, or something like that. It feels very kind of wishy washy to me, and it feels like there's been this negative stance taken on it. Like, oh well, God has, like I believe in God, but like at the same time I don't know, because like God hasn't really done anything for me, type of energy. And I feel like again, I feel like this kind of whole negative perspective has come to an end for you. It's Take it as it resonates. Okay, I'm just the messenger. um but there's this energy of like seeing the light, or this inability to see the light. And I feel like as you closed out October, you could have very well seen, oh, this is again, like I'm responsible for my perspective, and I took this very negative approach, right? I was unable to see the help that was coming through for me. Okay. And I just want to say that if you chose not to follow those signs, those nudges, it's likely, or I would not be surprised if you were like, well, shit, I probably should have listened. I'm just saying. Again, take it how it resonates, but there it is. You really, really cannot make this stuff up. Because we do have Shambhala initiations, retreating to recharge, trusting in the process, Dharma. And here's the thing, you have this life's a life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill, take a break, appear with the overall energy for last month. And now you have retreating to recharge. So I think it's really fascinating that there's that connection there. And in addition to that, we have trusting in the process and Dharma, or like the unfolding of your life path. And what I find fascinating is that what I feel like is coming to an end is this lack of trust, this inability or, negative view on trusting the process, on trusting what is coming through to you, or trusting the unfolding, right? Allowing things to unfold as they need to. Okay. I also feel like you could have had very negative perspectives, beliefs on like rest, truly. And here's the thing about that. We have been incredibly programmed as a society to believe that if you're not being productive, if you don't have something tangible to show for your effort or for whatever it is you're doing, that you've wasted your time, or that you are not valuable, or that you're lazy, or insignificant, or, worthless, or, slap whatever term you want in there. And I feel like this is something that for many people, they have been getting nudges to, to dive into and to transmute, okay, to alchemize, to heal. So I feel like what may be coming to an end are some negative viewpoints or perspectives that you have had, perhaps on rest or retreating to recharge or taking time to, go inward. I feel like, looking after yourself, balancing or bringing balance to the many facets of your nature is productive. Okay? Because energy that you hold, that you don't deal with, that needs to be healed, holding that in your body, again, I'm not a doctor, but it can manifest physically in your actual physical body. Not only that, but, of course, we carry stress and things like this, which is not helpful for our overall health and well-being. And, of course, when we continuously dump and pour and pour and pour without caring for ourselves, we deplete ourselves, right? We will literally run ourselves into the ground. And so I feel as though, again, something that may have come to an end for you in the month of October is negative viewpoints on this. And you may have found that this orchestration that was encouraging you to step back and to reevaluate certain things and take responsibility, may have assisted you, if you will, in transforming that for you. This blows my mind, because I feel like for you, Virgo, last month, if this is resonating with you, was probably pretty uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest, because this feels very like out of pocket for you. We have here as well, third eye activation, brow chakra, inner vision, clear seeing. Yeah. And here's the thing, I feel like, again, the thing of it is that what is coming to an end is, again, this negativity that you may have had around, things being divinely orchestrated, certain things coming through, intuitive hits, again, that inner vision, or, that intuition, that internal seeing that was coming through for you. I just want to say here, I feel like, I don't know why, but I keep being brought back again and again and again to this feeling of like, I believe in spirit, I believe in angels, I believe in God, but I don't at the same time. It's almost like, the concept makes, how do I say? Yes, thank you, Lord. I feel like the concept gives you comfort, but you're not like in it. Like you're like talking the walk instead of walking the walk. And I just felt that, like, there's somebody listening who really got triggered by that, because I feel like I just want to say, like, I'm not attacking you or judging you, but if you're going to be very honest with yourself and this is resonating with you, the truth of it is you're like on the fence, right? Which I feel like is why in the past you haven't seen things manifest or unfold in the way that someone who, you know, has surrendered to God or the angels or their guides or their intuition, their higher self. You wouldn't see things from a, I don't know, how do I say this, because somebody who has really surrendered and has faith and trust, there's this weight that is kind of lifted. Okay, things feel a little bit lighter, a little bit easier, because you're just following your intuition and trusting God. Okay, you don't feel like you're carrying the weight of the world. You feel like God's carrying the weight of the world, and you know, you're kind of just carrying yourself, right? Because you're taking responsibility in that way. And so, you know, I feel like there's this energy of like being on the fence and things feeling really heavy, which, you know, it's like you haven't dove all the way in. You've dipped your foot in and you've kind of played around a bit, but you haven't really committed. Okay. And so I feel like, again, that may be why you had certain perspectives. And I feel like that could have been shown to you. Interesting. You have freedom here. You are releasing any self imposed restrictions or perceived limitations through the loving energy of openness. Okay. So, you know, here's what I find fascinating. I feel like what's coming to an end here is a couple of things, because this card did flip over when we were getting out this portion of the reading. And one of the energies that came through for me almost immediately was what may be coming to an end is this idea that you are the only one, if you will. How do I say this? This is going to come through very weird. It may sound very strange, but I feel like there's been this kind of very physical perspective that's been taken, where it's like I am doing all of this, which is true to some extent, but there's also divine orchestration at play. So it's like you do have freedom, but there are also other things that are happening, that are contributing to what you experience. I hope that makes sense. So I feel like part of what's come to an end is like, oh, like, yes, I play a part in this, and yes, you know, I am I do have like this ball in my court, essentially, but there are also other things at play, right? There are also other things that are contributing to my experience, that are being orchestrated for me. But on another side of this, I feel like what's coming to an end again is those self-imposed restrictions or perceived limitations, right? Because of the loving energy of openness. Because again, I feel as though you could have had a certain perspective on those helpers in the subtle realms, right? Christ, the angels, whatever it is, and the fear that you had. Maybe it's around, I'm not enough, you know, like I'm not worthy enough to have help from God, from the angels. I don't deserve it. I don't know what it is. But I feel like you're releasing these belief systems, or perhaps, you know, with what unfolded last month, this may be then have what pardon me, what had come to an end is, you know, this whole idea, again, that how do I say, that negative perspective, right? So you could, again, I feel like it's different. If this is resonating with you, I feel like you likely have moved into the month of November, feeling much differently, feeling a lot differently about those helpers that you can't see with your physical eyes. Okay, and how they can show up in your reality. Now, again, I cannot stress enough that being able to hear and experience these other types of energies, these more subtle energies, right? From like the angels and Christ and your guides and your ancestors and your higher self and your intuition, requires a certain level of discernment, a certain level of knowing thyself, okay? Being very honest with yourself. Because we all have the ability to be deceived by lower entities. Um, so, certainly it is important for us to be discerning and to know ourselves and to, not just leap just because we get certain things, but to get introspective, to meditate on it, to pray about it, to dive deeper, to look deeper, right? And so you may be in that space now where, you are exploring the help that can be provided to you should you allow yourself the opportunity to do that. So, what has been rebirth, renewed, or has begun for you? We do have protection, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. So, what I find to be really interesting about this is that through the month of October, we did have, several eclipses take place, or a couple of eclipses take place. And here we have this eclipse energy. So, I feel like whatever it was that was rebirthed for you, or what was renewed or had begun, likely started. Maybe perhaps some of these things here that we've already went over started, or really kind of, I'm actually hearing the song. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this show, The Backyardigans. I don't know why it's coming through this way, but there's a song from that show, and they're like, into the thick of it, right? And I feel like that is when this energy for you could have gotten really thick. Like it could have been, more difficult to ignore or avoid. I feel like it was very in your face. Okay. But what I feel has been rebirth, renewed, or has begun for you is I feel like there are, for some of you, this, how do I say? I feel like you started to cut cords, right? You started to separate yourself from energies, people, places, situations that really were just draining you. And especially if all of this has resonated with you thus far, I feel like you will, you may have stepped back from like working yourself into the ground, for example. You may have, cut that cord. Maybe you switched jobs. Or took time off or something along those lines to really allow yourself to come back into your power. You may have started in the month of October focusing more on your needs, your desires, what is best for you, calling your power back in that way. Being very upfront and clear about that with whomever you are exchanging energies, conversation, experiences with. I also feel like in the month of October, for some of you, you may have, again, I don't know, this is coming through very clearly for me, but for some of you, I feel like you have literally cut the cords in certain relationships. Now, these could be friendships, they could be romantic relationships, casual relationships for some of you. They could be with family. I don't know what it is, but it just really feels as though you could have really just like, look, I can't do this. I don't have the capacity to deal with toxicity. I don't have the capacity to deal with, things that are completely draining. And it could be because it was made very clear to you that you didn't have energy to give. Okay. You may have found yourself like, look, I am over this, like capital OVER, like I'm over it. Okay. And I feel like, again, this has come through, or what was rebirth, renewed, or started for you was really kind of putting your foot down, right? Really kind of like, I am so over this. Okay. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Of justice in the reverse. How fascinating is that? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing, dear Virgo. I feel like you could have been in this position where you're like, if you're not taking accountability for yourself, like I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. I am not dealing with somebody who is not taking accountability for themselves, not taking responsibility for themselves, who's being dishonest. Okay, you may have found yourself in situations where people were being dishonest with you, and you're like, nope, we're not doing that. Bye. Boundaries. Okay. You may have found yourself separating from those individuals. Okay. Again, if they were unwilling to take responsibility, I feel like you're like, no way, not doing it. Right? I'm just not. For others of you, I feel as though some of this could have been living in denial. And so, what may have started for you or been rebirthed or renewed is, there may have been certain situations where you were, and I say this with so much love because I can feel some people getting triggered, where you were in denial, where maybe you were hoping that certain situations would pan out, where things would get better, where things would improve, where you could save something, save the relationship, save a person. I don't know what it is, but it feels as though, what it's almost as if this is something that you had already experienced, right? Like you were already, if this is for you, I feel like you were in a position where, and it may have been other people, okay, simply because, again, like I'm just getting this feeling of some kind of relationship, um, but you may have already been in previously in months prior, maybe earlier this year or last year or something, where you were like, oh, I don't know if this person should be in my life, or I don't know if I should be, close to this person. Like maybe I should put some distance between myself and so and so. And then now it's like come back around again, right? Or rather, in the month of October, it may have come back around again, where it's like, hey, you were living in denial about this situation, and now it's time for you to see it for what it is. All right. We also have stellar gateway activation, infinite potential, and manifestation vortex. So again, this is bringing to my attention what I feel like this has been for some of you. It's been rebirthed in the sense, like that's not to say that you've experienced it in this lifetime, but I feel like you could have been in this space before where you understood in a previous life that you are a co-creator of your reality, and you manifest, with whatever energy you're holding, whatever thoughts you're thinking, whatever actions you're taking. Like that is how you manifest things into your physical reality. And you may have been aware of that in a previous lifetime, or maybe in this lifetime, in the past. But I feel like I feel like it's been rebirthed for some of you. For others of you, I feel like what has begun is this responsibility, right? Where you understand that, you manifest your experience, that the possibilities or the potential is endless, and you are, again, a co-creator of your reality, and the choices that you make, the feelings that you have, the thoughts you have, the energy that you're holding is manifesting your physical reality. And I feel like, pardon me, I feel like there are those of you who like feel almost like a sense of fear with this, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, for example, if you didn't follow these nudges and hits to do certain things, and then you experience like the repercussions of that, you're probably like, oh my gosh. And I'm gonna be honest, right? The first time that I realized this, um, that was a like a kick to the face or a punch to the gut type of thing, right? It really is one of those like, holy crap type of things. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you start really being more intentional. So this is something that may have begun for you in October, where you're like, oh wow, like actually I have the power to create certain situations and to manifest these into my reality, and it's going to be important for me to move accordingly. All right. Interesting. I'm loving this reading. It's fascinating to me. So you do have here as well patience. You are able to let the universal energy of transformation move according to its own loving rhythm. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because this had already come up previously, right? This energy of being patient. Actually, at least I think so. Did this come up here, or maybe that was a different reading? Sometimes they run together, guys. So I do apologize if I hadn't said something about this already. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I did with the Seven of Pentacles. But if not, whatever. I feel like there's this energy here, which this has been showing up a lot for me recently in a lot of different kinds of readings, where, how do I say this? It's the acknowledgement that energy moves very, very fast, but we are in such a dense space, right? We are like matter, okay, moves at a much slower pace, and we're in such a dense space of our development that things move so slow, and so we don't often see those things, or the effort that we're putting in, the work that we're doing. We don't see tangible things right away. It takes time. And so, I feel like part of, and it's interesting as well, because you do have this manifestation vortex over here. And I feel like there's an energy here of addressing that more like practical side of yourself, where you're like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense because it's not going to bring forth, let's say, an income, or it's not going to bring forth security or stability, or XYZ, fill in the blank. I feel like there's this acknowledgement of, okay, energy moves very quickly and things are transforming behind the scenes all the time. It's just that matter moves so much slower that I'm not seeing that right away. So you could certainly be, in this manifestation vortex, or this space of manifestation where your manifestations are showing, or how do I say this? It's really interesting because it's like there's this manifestation vortex where I feel like you're putting out energy, and it is, the universe is kind of like taking your order type of thing, but because we're in such a dense space, that it doesn't show up right away. Like you don't even realize that you're in that vortex. I hope that makes sense. An hour, 2 minutes and 34 seconds on the clock. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like this is part of your evolution. I feel like this is part of your growth, and the steps you're taking forward to really get a firm grip or grasp or understanding on your role in your own life, in your own evolution. Ooh, sorry guys, I just kicked the camera. Or in your own growth, right? So again, I feel like October is interesting because I feel like for some of you, this patience energy, where you're surrendering more, you're, going with the flow more, may have started trickling in the month of October, but it feels like more would resonate with that starting towards, like, how do I say it? It's like it got the ball rolling in October, but maybe you're really starting to experience this more patient energy in the month of November. So what is the wisdom that will best support your healing, growth, and evolution based on what came through for you in October 2023? So we do have, interesting, share your voice, come out of the cave, persecution, expression. So you do have that expressive type of energy showing up more than once. And I definitely feel like, with everything that came through for you in the month of October, the wisdom that would best support you moving forward with what you know now is to, again, share your truth, express that. Something that came to me recently about this card, and it's coming through now here again, is that, she's sitting here in this cave where she's protected, she's secure, she's safe, right? And is going to be coming out to share her voice. But in order to share her voice with others, she's got to cross this turbulent water. And the way that this is coming through is like, doing this, right? Coming out of the cave, putting yourself in a position where you can be persecuted because you're sharing your voice and expressing your truth. That may be turbulent water. Okay? Things may not always go as you would anticipate or expect them to. And you're likely to face challenges in that. But in order to experience something different, you've got to get on the other side of that water. You have to leave your comfort zone and your safety, right? But that is how we heal. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. Even if we look at, stories from the Bible, for example, and I'm not coming at this from a dogmatic religious perspective, just so you know, but even if we look at stories from the Bible, right, where these individuals are being called to heal and grow and evolve, they're usually facing something that is scary, turbulent, dangerous, right? But on the other side of that is something incredible. So, I feel like this is a position that you have been put into alignment with, or that has been orchestrated for you. And moving forward, I feel like you're encouraged to, be very authentic and to express yourself very truthfully, very honestly, regardless of what trials, tribulations, challenges, or obstacles you may be facing. Because on the other side of that is something much better than what you have experienced currently. Okay, we have here the Page of Pentacles in the reverse. And, what I find to be really interesting is that the Page of Pentacles is this energy of kind of like lack of commitment, right? And what's, I again, all of the minor arcana cards you have out are from the suit of Pentacles, right? It's all very focused on the physical world, what's practical, what is tangible. And I feel as though there's this energy of like lack of commitment. Okay. And I feel like, how do I say this? So let me just take a few steps back, okay? So as we know, the pentacles are a representation of earth energy, okay? And earth energy, if we look at it from like a magical perspective, if you will, it's prosperity and grounding and manifesting, abundance, health, protection, right? That kind of energy. And here we have this Page of Pentacles in the reverse. Interestingly, pages are messengers or novices or beginners. You can see them in either of those ways, or any of those ways, rather. And I feel like part of what's come through here is there seems to be a lack of commitment, or in some cases, even laziness, to the messages that you may be receiving around, or how do I say this? The messages that you may be receiving that are meant to be protecting you, that are meant to be grounding you, that are meant to be bringing certain things to your awareness. I really hope this makes sense. There's also, I feel, a lack of commitment to trust in yourself. Okay? Trusting in your own truth, in your own voice, right? So I feel like the wisdom that is going to best support your healing, growth, and evolution. Of course, we look at this as the foundation, as the first card out. And, the Page of Pentacles coming through after that is trusting. Like, I don't want to say throwing caution to the wind. That would be silly. That would be a silly way to put it. But it's like committing to trusting in yourself, right? Listening to those messages that come through, which are meant to ground you, which are meant to bring you or bring forth, or to help protect you, to help you to manifest certain experiences. I just want to read what the author of this deck has here for the Page of Pentacles in the reverse or Shadow Seer position, just to kind of give you a little bit more to go on. Oh gosh, there's so much fear that's come up for you, Virgo. Excuse me. Lots of fear. So Shadow Seer or reverse position, being non-committal, lack of progress, learning from past mistakes, procrastinating, and not bringing plans down to earth. So again, right, I feel like that advice that will best support you is like, let's stop sitting on the fence. 1 hour, 11 minutes, 11 seconds. Give yourself the opportunity to fully step into your potential and to begin something new. We also have here, look at this. Yeah, right? Earth star activation, anchoring, grounded action, Isis energy. And here's an interesting thing. So first of all, that grounded action is coming through, right? Because again, I feel like you're meant to be grounding into your truth, right? You're meant to be stepping into who you are, right? Coming out of the cave, like, I'm not hiding my light. I'm not hiding my truth. I'm expressing myself. And then it's interesting that this Isis energy is here, because Isis is this energy of rebirth or birth, right? You may be aware of the story in ancient Egyptian culture of Isis and Osiris, right? And how Set, I believe it was, what is the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh. I can't think of the word right now, but separated Osiris into many pieces and scattered them. And it was Isis who put him back together, right? So I just feel like there's this energy, the wisdom that is best going to support your healing, growth, and evolution is to allow yourself to find these pieces of yourself and to have trust in them and to essentially like put yourself back together, because I feel like pieces of you have been scattered. For some of you, I feel like you've left pieces in certain experiences, and this is where healing is likely required, to call those fragments back home, right? That soul retrieval. So I feel like this is something that has started and is a stage that you may be currently in. I actually do want to read just the message from the guidebook here for this Earth Star activation. I feel like there could be more here that's helpful for you. Yeah, so it says, when you draw this card, know your Earth Star has been activated, and the wisdom you once ignored is finally being acknowledged. The rejected parts of yourself have now been rediscovered. There is an opportunity for you to rediscover magic too. but stay firmly rooted in all of your endeavors. Let the earth hold and sustain you. Don't rush ahead. In fact, if you've been wondering if it's time to move forward, know that it isn't. Stay put for the time being. Important information is about to be revealed, so wait and stand strong. This is a time of integration and rest rather than pushing forward. Great wisdom lies within you. Dive deep and find it, and trust in yourself. You have more strength than you realize, right? So, certainly that plays into everything that's come through already. With the exception of the come out of your cave, I feel as though there's this energy of, how do I say this? It feels to me like the advice that would best support your growth and evolution, especially when we look at this from the month of October, was to rest. It was to, dive deep. And if, how do I say? Um, if that's not something that you've done, I feel like you're being encouraged to do that now, right? To take whatever time you have to dive deep, to rest, to allow yourself to integrate, to allow yourself to welcome in new information and to express that as you're called to move as you're called to. Again, and to trust yourself. That's been a reoccurring theme coming up since we started talking here. We also have here Order of Melchizedek, embraced by light, mission uncovered, don't give up. So, I feel like the advice here for you is like, just because you were asked to pause, to take a break, to, get off the treadmill, to step back, to look at things, it's not an energy of giving up. Okay. Rest doesn't mean give up. Rest means rest, right? I feel like there's this energy of allowing yourself to be embraced by light. And when I think of light, the way it's coming through for me is this energy of truth, transparency, illumination, knowledge, wisdom, love, right? So being embraced by those things and allowing them to encourage you moving forward. It's about letting those things soak in, if you will, not about giving up and not moving forward. I also feel, we talked about this turbulent water here and some tribulations or trials that may be faced when you start to come out of that cave, when you start to express yourself, when you start to be transparent, when you start to, kind of step into your authenticity and the authority that you have over your own truth. I feel like as you face that turbulence, as you face persecution, rejection, as you face judgment from those outside of yourself, it's like, don't give up, keep going, right? Keep going. There's that saying, what is it? I know that there's the one that's like on the other side of fear is everything you want, but there's another one where it is essentially, if you find yourself in a state of fear or whatever it is, you're moving in the right direction, type of thing. We also have here inner earth based chakra, pardon me, let me read that again. Inner earth based chakra, strength and security, laying foundations, right? So it's really interesting to me. I feel like for some of you, you may have been hyper kind of focused on creating that security, that safety, if you will, because there may be things at your root chakra that need or have needed to be addressed. Okay, so the root is the foundation on which we build our life, right? So it represents safety and security and stability, and groundedness, right? And when that's imbalanced, we tend to be scattered, we tend to be anxious, fearful, untrusting, right? And so I feel like for some, the wisdom here that's coming through is like, hey, If you feel hyper focused, like you need to hyper focus on your strength, or excuse me, if you have felt like you've needed to be kind of hyper focused on your security and making sure that you have this security built up, your safety net build up type of thing, you may need to evaluate or assess or go introspective, dive deep, and look at maybe where you have this imbalanced or blocked root chakra or base chakra, right? That may have been something that you want to look more deeply into, because I feel like there's something here about building upon or strengthening your confidence in yourself so you can feel safe and secure in your own being, in your own truth, right? And to lay those foundations. So we also have here willingness. You are able to compromise if the end result is love. And I just want to say that I feel like the wisdom that's going to best support you here is literally, that may have been a little exaggerated. But it is your willingness to take responsibility. It is your willingness to be truthful. It's your willingness to listen to your intuition, to trust your intuition, to follow it, to allow it to guide you, to allow the angels and Christ and the signs and synchronicities to guide you and lead you, right? It's interesting because this is coming through here. It's almost like a teamwork type of thing, where it's your willingness to kind of participate in the co-creation of your reality that is going to best support you, right? Again, it's taking that responsibility and understanding that you choose to either pay attention or not, to listen or not, to move in a certain direction or not, right? We also have detachment. You are releasing old patterns and ideas that no longer serve your highest ideals of love. Certainly. I mean, come on now. We literally have cut the cords for you, right? And a lot of this reading has been about moving away from old belief systems, old ideas, old thought patterns that are stifling your evolution, your growth, that have been preventing you from, focusing on the various facets of yourself. So certainly, and here, right, what's come to an end, I feel like for some, there's that negativity that has come to an end, right? So it feels like the wisdom that would best support your healing, growth, and evolution is to let that stuff go. I mean, we even have it here with death and rebirth, right? It's freeing yourself from the past, moving forward, or releasing the past, right? Putting it behind you, letting things transform, or detaching. And finally, we have present. You live in the moment and are able to bring forth the energy of love in your current circumstances. And I feel like how this wisdom is showing up for you, Virgo, here with this particular card is that, if you are, for example, hyper focused on creating like a safety net, creating security for yourself, building up your nest egg, as it were. I feel like part of that is because there's this anxious survivalist mentality type of energy that is just running rampant, right? And a lot of times the cause or part of the cause of that, or what makes it, let's say, for lack of better terms, like more severe, if you will, is because we're not living in the present moment. Because in the present moment, you are safe, you are secure, right? It's when we step out of that and we start worrying about what's to come that we start creating this anxiety, okay? Or it's when we are, focused on the past and what has already taken place that we cannot change, where we find ourselves depressed. Okay, so, I feel like this here is a very powerful piece of wisdom for you. Being present in the moment tends to relieve a lot of burdens, right? Because you can enjoy being where you are. You can enjoy the people around you. You can enjoy the experience, the situation, the environment, instead of sitting somewhere and not being able to soak up those little moments of joy and happiness and pleasure and excitement or contentment or peace because you're so worried about what's going to happen in 5 minutes or what's going to happen in 2 years or what's going to happen in 6 months or whatever the story, right? So again, this is a very powerful piece of wisdom, especially for those I feel that, resonate with, oh, I've been worried about building up my security, my safety net. It's kind of like being stuck in survival mode, right? Wowzers. Virgo, what a plethora of information that has seemed to come through for you for the month of October. I pray that something here has provided some kind of clarity or confirmation for you, especially with what you may have been experiencing throughout the month of October. Again, I do apologize for the delay in getting this to you, but I pray that if you have found your way here, that again, there's something here that has provided value for you or given you confirmation or, has given you an opportunity to, or encouraged you to look at what happened through the month of October and to maybe put some pieces into place which allow you to move forward, which allow you to step out and to be transformed, to really give yourself the opportunity to grow and evolve and to step into your true potential. If something here has resonated for you or been valuable for you in some way, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, subscribing, or commenting below. It really does help the channel to grow by telling YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else. So I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Not only that, but your feedback is incredibly important to me and I value it so very much. So thank you for doing those things. I pray your October was full of growth, full of evolution, full of healing, and that you put yourself in a position to have the most beautiful November, to experience something incredible this November. And I hope to see you in your November reading. Take care of your evolving, courageous, transforming, growing, beautiful soul. Peace be with you and within you. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.